Mike, I got to ask you just came back from Chicago. Got to go there. It wasn't to see the Cubs, the White Sox, or the Bears,
Unfortunately,
right?
no.
This was media days with the Big Ten Conference.
Correct.
Penn State's been on the upswing. They should have a good year. So there's a lot going on in the Big Ten. What was the big news with Penn State that came out of last week?
Well, the big news was Joe saying, I'd like to go 4 or 5 more years.
I've heard that before.
Which is we've heard it before. He used to say that a lot. But in the last few years, he has not actually said that. This is the first time in a while that he's said that, and people were kind of astonished by it. It was, to some extent, it was an off the cuff thing, but Joe continues. To me, there's this dilemma which continues endlessly with Joe Paterno, which is if you're the president of Penn State University, okay, and you look at your football program, in terms of revenue to fund the athletic department, because that's what football does at Penn State. You would rate it to be a 9.8 on a scale to 10, I would say. NCAA compliance, or at least running a clean program and measured by that would be like a 9.9 on a scale to 10.
He turned himself in because he walked into some players on the track.
Yeah,
and
he was just casually walking.
Squeaky clean here. Good. Okay, go ahead.
Academics, I would say 9.9 on a scale to 10. So
very high graduation rate.
If you're gonna push Joe out the door, because if you're going to push all that aside because maybe the wins and losses right now are maybe a 7 on a scale to 10 or something like that, I think you're taking a big chance by doing that, and you better have a replacement in mind who you better knock that out of the park. And I don't mean the clip joint. I mean like Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the constant dilemma with Joe.
It is an interesting dilemma because how long can they keep up having a 7-6 record like last year?
Well, see,
they're bringing in good talent. They've been bringing in, and he's part of why they get good talent in there. He's a big part of why that stadium is as big as it is.
Yeah.
Okay, he built this up, but I still feel it's very dysfunctional. Where is the chain going? And a lot of his coaches tried to leave the last Bradley, a couple jobs that we thought he was going to get. Pittsburgh, I couldn't believe they didn't take him when their first coach fell through.
How about
Temple. So they've had some other assistant coaches. Larry Johnson's been up for things and stayed the last minute. So I just wonder where some of the chain is and how functional everything is and how close they're going to keep bringing this together. Or is it going to fall apart like a couple years ago? He finally got it back. I thought he should be getting out.
Yeah, right.
And if he stays 4 or 5 more years, that puts him like 90-something.
Almost 90.
I mean, I know Abraham started a nation when he was older than that, but, Now, what else did you gain? Ohio State, who's their new coach?
A guy named Luke Fickell, young guy who frankly, in the big press conference, there was a big press conference in a big room the first day for all of the coaches. He looked overwhelmed in that. It looked like there was some flop sweat, and he was really nervous. And supposedly he did much better the following day when he was sitting at a table and guys are coming up and interviewing him. He's a young guy, and the thing with Ohio State is if a program at their level makes a coaching change, they're bringing in they're talking to Urban Meyer,
Sure.
they're talking to John Gruden under normal circumstances. These are very, very abnormal circumstances right now at Ohio State. So that is a situation that you have to say at very best is kind of in flux. And that wasn't anything I learned from Chicago, but that's the reality of the situation.
Is it stable in Ohio State? I mean, these guys got to call some violations. They were cheating, and is he going to be able to keep this program going?
Well, they did not. They're not going to get big NCAA sanctions.
I'm surprised by that.
I think they would have if they'd have kept Tressel. I think showing him the door is the reason why they if they had not shown him the door, then you would have got this lack of institutional control thing that the NCAA often does. So I mean, who knows? But it's a fluid situation, I think, at Ohio State.
Real quick, Nebraska coming in. That's another giant into the conference. Penn State's going to play them every year. Your impression with Nebraska?
Well, first of all, Nebraska had a huge contingent at this thing.
Did they? Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
They had by far the most media credentials they've ever had for this event, and adding Nebraska is the big reason why. I saw a lot of people running around with Nebraska logos on their clothing and stuff. I think Nebraska is going to be very good. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. They're going to contend for the championship. Their coach, Bo Pelini, is not a dynamic media guy, but he's a football guy, and I think Nebraska is going to be one of the best teams in the league. They gave them a tough schedule the first year. They have to play what should be the 3 best teams in the other division, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Penn State. They play all of those that are in the other division. And they're going to play Penn State every year. So that will develop into a rivalry, I think, over the long run. But Nebraska is, I think, a positive addition and a real formidable team right now.